Hi everybody, welcome to Asocopi. Thank you so much for supporting the making of this conference in this virtuality due to the pandemics. We hope that everyone is safe at home and that you enjoy a lot about the conference this year, which has got like a really fascinating topic in terms of studying ideas of community and how communities are built and how communities make us stronger as individuals and also as a group, as an academic group. For today's colloquium, that we entitle The Role of a Doctoral Learning Community in the Learning, Unlearning, and Relearning in Doing Research from the South. I'm very pleased to introduce our experience in terms of becoming a doctoral learning community that epistemologically speaking situates the idea of going to do a doctoral study, to undertake a doctoral research, not with the idea of just learning in the traditional way, but from a decolonial point of view, we understand that it is necessary to unlearn and to relearn at the same time. So I think this is very important, and this is an idea that we are going to develop through our colloquium. This colloquium is going to be developed by my colleagues Pilar Mendez, Pedro Cabrejo, Miguel Martinez, and myself. Of course, this is a recording of the colloquium, which is going to be used as a backup if something goes wrong with technology when we had to present our colloquium. Okay, but before getting like so serious, I want you to develop this activity with me. I'm going to show you two similar images, okay? And I want you to spot the differences between those two similar images, okay? I'm going to give you only 30 seconds to do that because time is limited, and we had to move on in terms of the development of the colloquium, but this is just to set up the mood and the environment in terms of reflecting upon what communities mean in ELT education up to date. Just like one possibility, because um, there might be a good number of interpretations in terms of what a community could be, the characteristics, how it is orchestrated, or how it just pops up, etc., etc. So there are like different possibilities in that sense. So I'm going to show you the images, okay? 30 seconds to look at them. All right, 15 seconds left, and I hope you are spotting the differences within these two images. There we go. Time's up, okay? But let's imagine that these two images represent communities, okay? And that within these communities we might be able to spot some differences. Let's look at the differences that you probably spotted. So on the first place, if you look at the clock hanging on the wall, it shows a different time, okay? On the shelves, on the left-hand side image, we had like a blue cup, okay? And then on the right-hand side image, we had like two kind of finger puppets, I imagine. Then let's look at grandma, okay? Grandma has got on the left-hand side image She's got like her hair back, okay, and she's got a hairpin on it, which is missing in the picture on the right hand side. Also on the left hand side, if you look at grandma again, she's got like a bow tie here in the neck, okay, which is missing also on the right hand side picture. Let's look at the girl, okay. On the right hand side picture, the girl is wearing a white sock. She's not doing that on the left hand side picture. And why don't you concentrate on the cat? The cat is holding a spoon on the left hand side picture, but on the right hand side picture is holding a lollipop. And can you look on top of the cat's left ear? You see there are like two dishes there. Well, on the right hand side picture, one of the little plates has got a smiley face, okay, which is missing on the left hand side picture. Now, let's look at the table, okay. You see the cake, okay, there is a delicious cake over there, which the girl is decorating, okay, and there are like on one plate you see like 3 strawberries, which is very similar. Then we have bananas, okay, but bananas are, in a different number in both images. And we also have like a cookie tray in which the cookies are different, if you see. And there is like a little, ornament plant over there, which has got only one ornament on it. You will say like probably this activity is a little bit trivial, but it is not. Communities are normally understood as homogeneous and with a lot of ideas underpinning it in terms of equality. So everyone is part of a community because we have the same goal, because we think in the same way, because we are going into the same direction, because we are basically homogeneous, okay? And I think that that's something that need to start, being reflected upon, being challenged, okay, by the experiences that one may have, for example, when one is doing a doctoral research, okay. And that's basically my next question for you, okay. Um, Quick, I want you to think of doctoral learning community. What does this make sound in your head? What is this about? A doctoral learning community. What would you say? Probably you would say, well, this is a community where you go into your doctoral program. Yes, check. Where you set up a research agenda of your own. Check. Where you go and get a degree. Check. Okay. But in experience, we had come to understand that the learning experiences that students may have and teachers may also have within doctoral learning communities are really apart from that idea of being homogeneous, of being equal, okay? And I think that is very important for you to understand that even though teamwork makes the dream work, as Pilar is going to present, Pedrito is going to present, Miguel is going to present, and myself, I'm going to present. The story that is bringing us together in terms of constituting a doctoral learning community is different, even though we share things because teamwork makes the dream work. Okay, so in order to help you understand how these differences have, constituted our learning community, I want to introduce our ELT program. What is very important in terms of our ELT program, and I'm going to read like four characteristics of this, is that is the first program in the country doctoral program in the country majoring ELT education specifically. Up to now, our doctoral program has enrolled 3 different cohorts because we started up all this story in 2016. Our major in ELT education has got 2 research emphases. The first one is second language teacher education, in which one of the main ideas is to problematize second language teacher education in terms of, all these models that have been running over the years in terms of thinking of second language teacher education just as an instrumental activity in which teachers are educated, and as simple as that. But of course, problematizing that idea implies different understandings of knowledge, different understandings of knowledge base, and of course, different understandings of, methodologies to educate second language teachers, even if they are, in initial teacher education programs or if they are in-service teachers. The second research emphasis that we have is related to identities, power, and inequality in ELT, because we have come to understand that identity is not monolithic, identity is not static, and in classrooms or in ELT, mainly what constitutes identities is driven by power ideologies and power that is present in interaction, and when power is present, it might probably lead to inequality. Okay, but that is very important for everyone to understand. And the fourth aspect that characterizes our doctoral program is that we think that we are a knowledge production community, and this is very important because all the things that are going on in our program, we are sharing that publicly with people in order to motivate discussion, in order to motivate encounters of ideas, and also places where ideas simply do not match. But I think that is what is important, because this is what makes the field grow up, right? So we are a community that produces knowledge, and this is one example. We have our book ELT Local Research Agendas 1 that was published recently, and that basically shows that as a community we cooperate producing research books like this, in which we are informing the community about our concerns within the field. A second example of this is this book, which is called Technology in ELT, Achievements and Challenges for ELT Development. And this is a book that is very connected to the ELT community, very connected to Asocopi, as all the chapters come from one of the conferences that have been held by Asocopi. And I want to show a third example. Basically, this is a book that reflects upon methodology, but you see the title says reads methodological uncertainties of research in ELT education 1. This is also, a collective book that we have written together with the students, with professors, and basically we reflect on how uncertain is to do research when you had to unlearn and then relearn, okay? Because we are moving, or we are drawing on a specific epistemological perspective, which is very, very, close, or it does espouse the decolonial turn. So who are the members of our community? And I want to show you these pictures. I don't have all the students here in terms of the pictures, but I think it's very important for you to see that students had done short academic stays at the Universitat of Barcelona, and they had been, getting or gathering information with seminars, as this one that you see on the right hand side, Decolonizing Knowledge and Power, by Diálogo Global, um, with one interesting idea that is very, metaphorically, written on the picture at the top. And it's like we had always, been pushy with our students, asking them or telling them you had to find the gap in the sense of what you are problematizing, in the sense of understanding how all the things in ELT had been problematized in a traditional way, and you had to find the cracks and try to see how you can, go deeper in that crack, because we don't want to patch them up. We actually want to open them up a little bit more. So when they went in England, basically doing part of their academic short stay, they WhatsApped us that picture, telling us we found the gap. And it was funny, it was interesting, but it's actually a very um, interesting metaphor to understand that we are not looking for, traditional research problems. We understand they are over there, but I think our idea is to widen the scope of our ELT field. So in the next picture, as you will see, we understand that individually we are one drop, but together we are an ocean, and as different as we are. So those are our students. We had the third cohort, but they are not here yet with their pictures. One of our drops left us, but most of the students are, really working really hard in terms of, constructing an individual but also collective experience in a doctoral learning community. So I'm going to show you the message that Miguel Martinez wants to share with you. Of course, I'm going to talk on his behalf because we are using this video as backup for the colloquium, just in case something happens. So Miguel Martinez is thinking about this doctoral learning community, and is exploring some areas in which this community has helped him deepen his understanding of the struggles in ELT from the global south. And this is very important because when we say the global south, we are basically using another metaphor in which we are recognizing that, as Miguel will tell you, there is an ecology of knowledges, okay, that could use intercultural translation, not in order to identify similarities and differences, but in order to understand hybridity and how things are meshed together. Okay, so according to Miguel Martinez, or Miguelito as we call him, um, the things that had been really, key for him is to understand other ways of thinking, feeling, and knowing. And look at the fact that he is using uh, words together. So thinking goes along with feeling and goes along with knowing. Okay, so what constitutes this community is not simply a cognitive idea of learning. It's more like a socio cultural, situated, understanding of community, which is very sensitive to the context. Okay. The second idea that Miguel Martinez wants to develop is that the doctoral learning community has helped him understand the struggles, the emotions, and the options. Okay. And I think this is very important, and the word struggle here is also key in the sense that from the decolonial perspective, the struggles are in the social aspects, in the social issues. Okay, and that's where freedom or emancipation is elaborated. And of course, this is very linked to emotions, which is an area a little bit abandoned in ELT, at least in Colombia. And of course, this shows you options and different directions where you could probably go and move. The third idea that Miguel Martinez wants to share with us is that this has helped him to reflect upon the cultural, political, and social meanings and understandings that circulate in ELT. So, ELT is basically situated, very localized. And it's very important to understand all those meso but also micro elements of the context that could probably help us understand what's going on. A fourth idea is that Miguel Martinez implies that there is introspective knowledge in terms of self-reflection, and I believe that this idea is important in the sense that you might be a member of a community, but your epistemological reflexivity is yours, is personal, is your own personal epistemology. And I think self-reflection and epistemological reflexivity is something that is socially constructed, but is also part of the individual. So that's like another message that Miguel Martinez is leaving us with. And basically, something that is very related to the last book that I presented in terms of methodological uncertainties, Miguel Martinez is telling us that this doctoral learning community has helped him to identify, interrogate, and interrupt the traditional ways of doing research. I think this is also really interesting and important in the sense that if you are asking other types of questions, maybe you need research methodologies that could help you answer those questions. Okay, this defies traditional ways of doing research, but also opens up the idea of bricolage and the idea of understanding that there are multiple myriad ways of knowing. Okay, and I think that is a very important message that Miguel Martinez is leaving us with. The second presentation that you will see corresponds to Pedro Adolfo Cabrejo, Pedrito as we call him. Pedrito is doing his presentation around one single question, and is how has this ELT community helped me find my locus of enunciation. And I think this is a very decolonial idea in terms of understanding geopolitically and body politically the subject who speaks. Okay, Spivak, for example, is asking in a constant way if the subaltern can or cannot speak. Well, what we are saying here is that no matter what your locus of enunciation is, understood, as I had said before, or Pedrito is saying before, as the body political and geopolitical position of the subject who speaks, no matter what it is, it would be really important to make it explicit so that when you are doing research, everyone is going to understand where you are coming from and what your relationship with the research is. And I think what Pedrito is presenting here is different levels, or layers that constitute that locus of enunciation. The first one has to be with a sort of theoretical perspective in which one has to be situated as a doctoral learning community. It has been very important for all of us um, to epistemologically situate in ourselves, of our research, but also our personal views and perspectives. So that comes in very handy when doing a doctoral research. And I think this is what one of the ideas that Pedrito is leaving us with. Then this translates into the ELT world, and it does translate into the ELT world because um, there is like this movement that started recently here in Colombia in terms of looking at English language teaching from a different perspective, a perspective that diverges a little bit from the critical paradigm, but still having dialogues with that. And this idea makes ELT open to understand that maybe criticality has been co-opted by modernism. We don't know. I mean, we need to assess that. Okay, so we cannot affirm anything in that direction. But ELT needs to start building up its own historicity or historiographic perspective in order to understand how over the last 60 years probably our field has evolved in so many directions and so many perspectives that it is very important for ELT to establish its own locus of enunciation, at least the people who participate there doing research. And I think this is the second message that Pedrito Cabrejo leaves us with. The third idea that he is presenting is the idea of being part of a community. So that's why the locus of enunciation is layered, right? And community, as we have been saying, I'm drawing, for example, in the little comparison exercise that we made at the beginning of this presentation, the idea is to understand that, yes, we are members with rights, okay, but we are different. And something which is very important to understand is that not all differences are created equal, okay? So the fight for equality has, specific achievements, a type of success, but at the same time, so many aspects that needs to be revisited. And I think that is the third idea that Pedrito Cabrejo leaves us with. This theoretical perspective, this revision of the ELT community helps you belong to community and specific, which is driven more by difference, heterogeneity, rather than homogeneity. Okay, and that, at the center of that is one's own personal position, and this is Pedrito's Cabrejo message in the sense that there is a very personal, elaborated epistemological position. And basically, what we are saying here as a community is that we do need to acknowledge personal epistemologies in research, and especially in ELT education research. So that is Pedrito Cabrejo's contribution. And then we'll continue with my colleague and friend, Pilar Mendez, who is making a reflection in terms of four different perspectives. The doctoral learning community um, allows us possibilities to take on different or other, let's say, subject positions. For example, that position of being a learner, that position of being a researcher, that position of being a student. That is very important, and that's important message that Pilar Mendez is leaving us with, because normally in learning communities you are either the teacher or the student, and that's it. But here you see, for example, that our books have been written collectively, and that says a lot about assuming other subject positions. A second one is the idea of decolonizing one's mind to find one's own being. And I think this is very important in terms of reflection, because this is basically telling us that um, our minds have been colonized, our beings have been colonized, and we need to find out ways in order to start decolonizing that. And in order to, or one starting point is by being aware of that, and by decolonizing the mind, we might start finding out who we really are as well. A third idea that Pilar Mendez is bringing into this colloquium has to do with the possibilities for exploring resistance in the ELT field. And this is very important because it's not resistance simply as opposition, it's resistance in terms of, social practices that have been carried out and that have been unknown, and that say something in terms of what people or the way people experience power, the way people experience policies, the way people experience relationships with others when it comes to our field of ELT education. So that is very important to be borne in mind. And the last idea that Pilar Mendez is bringing for us is about the possibility for embracing differences and local practices and contributions. Yet here we have like a very important idea in terms of this doctoral learning community, because of the epistemological stance that we have adopted and opted for. We do acknowledge that there are local practices and local contributions that are south-oriented, in the sense that they are knowledges that are part of an ecology in which there are also dominant ways of understanding ELT. But we embrace the idea of difference, and we embrace the idea of community construction that defies, as I have said before, homogeneity or homogeneous practices. So anyhow, in any learning community that you might belong to, you can make a difference, okay? Building that community and sharing your practices and experiences. And what is important is that you live today with the idea that a community is not necessarily something homogeneous, okay? I want to say goodbye just by telling you that if you had questions for any of us, you can contact us at these email addresses that you see over there in the screen. And it has been really, really a pleasure for me to moderate this colloquium in which I'm basically presenting in behalf of other colleagues, but as we said before, this is going to be used as backup. So thank you so much for watching this video clip and for supporting Asocopi. Again, this is your association, and we need to make strong efforts in order to keep Asocopi alive. This is our year number 55, and we hope we can get more than 100 years of existence as an association, as a community in which Difference is understood, welcome, and embraced. Thank you so much.